Here are 50 female privileges. Privilege is being able to steal a man's sperm and then sue him for child support. Privilege is being able to rape a man or an underage boy and then sue him for child support. Privilege is having the right to abort a fetus or give a child up for adoption in complete disregard for the wishes of the father. Privilege is being able to declare a man to be the father of your child without any proof and having it be his legal responsibility to prove that he isn't the father. Privilege is being able to sue a sperm donor for child support. Privilege is having the power to opt out of parenthood. Privilege is actually having reproductive rights. Privilege is having people assume you're an innocent victim in cases of domestic violence, even though half of all domestic violence is reciprocated, and women account for 70% of non-reciprocated domestic violence perpetrators. Privilege is having access to abuse shelters even when you yourself are an abuser and your victim is denied access because of his gender. Privilege is not having people assume you did something to deserve it if you are a victim of domestic violence. Privilege is not being laughed at if you are a victim of domestic violence. Privilege is not being laughed at if you are a victim of rape. Privilege is being 1/3 as likely to be a victim of homicide. Privilege is being 1/4 as likely to end up homeless. Privilege is being 1/4 as likely to be a victim of suicide. Privilege is being 1/5 as likely to be a victim of a hate crime if you are homosexual. Privilege is being 1/11 as likely to die doing your job. Privilege is having the health issues that affect you get disproportionately more public funding. Privilege is having it be illegal for your genitals to be mutilated when you're a baby. Privilege is paying less income tax. Privilege is paying less for car insurance. Privilege is not being forced to sign an agreement saying you will go to war and get maimed or killed if the government tells you to just so you can get a driver's license or to qualify for federal aid. Privilege is not being considered disposable or being expected to be willing to sacrifice yourself for the sake of somebody else just because of their gender. Privilege is having it be socially unacceptable for your partner to hit you even if you hit him. Privilege is not being banned from certain places on college campuses just because some special snowflake feels triggered by your presence. Privilege is not having to worry about being declared guilty by the court of public opinion at the mere accusation of rape, even in the face of a complete absence of evidence. Privilege is not being shamed for asking for or accepting help of any kind. Privilege is not having your kids get taken from you in a biased family court. Privilege is being less likely to die from child maltreatment. Privilege is being less likely to be a victim of infanticide. Privilege is being more likely to get adopted. Privilege is having it be socially unacceptable for others to fat shame you, while you freely shame men for being short or bald. Privilege is having access to scholarships exclusive to your gender, despite the fact that your gender is already overrepresented on campuses. Privilege is being able to make a false rape accusation at little personal risk to yourself, even if it's proven that you lied. Privilege is not having your natural behavior be pathologized in school, resulting in you getting put on behavior-altering drugs. Privilege is getting more lenient sentences for equivalent crimes. Privilege is living 5 years longer on average. Privilege is having lower standards to live up to. Privilege is having society sympathize with you and not see you as a deadbeat or a loser if you are unable to support your family. Privilege is being entitled to sympathy and having your feelings coddled instead of being told to woman up or to take it like a woman. Privilege is not having your employment rate be in steady decline for the past 6 decades. Privilege is being less likely to get laid off during a recession. Privilege is having people actually care when you are a victim of discrimination. Privilege is not having people assume you're a pedophile if you're a teacher, daycare worker, or pediatrician. Privilege is not being expected to pay for anything when you go on a date. Privilege is being less likely to suffer from Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, autism, ADHD, and schizophrenia. Privilege is not having doctors lie to you about requiring spousal consent for you to get certain medical procedures. Privilege is being less likely to be a victim of reproductive coercion. Privilege is having every little inequality you face be assumed to be caused by discrimination even when all evidence proves that it isn't, and then having said inequality overcompensated for by policies which give you unfair advantages. Privilege is not having attempts to address the issues being faced by your gender be met with open hostility from universities, politicians and government entities, and well-funded organizations which ironically claim to fight for equality. So that's 50 female privileges. If you can think of any more privileges enjoyed exclusively by women, list them in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it, watch my other videos, and subscribe.